first we would like to introduce our setup and give 3 points. At first, we need to define what middle income people are. And second, to define what the burden of the government is and what the burden of the opposition is. And then our stance in this debate as the government. So first, what is a middle income people? Middle income people are people capable of providing necessities and has disposable income to spend on additional support for children development. And then for the burden of the government here is to prove that free range parenting is the better choice, and to prove that helicopter parenting is the worst choice to take. And the opposition must refute that our proposals, and then they would also need to prove that helicopter parenting is the better option here. And our stance is against the bad effects of helicopter parenting, and if this point is indisputable, then it is only right that our side wins. So first we would like to talk about the mechanism of how this entire thing would work. So first, during early childhood and infancy, parents would teach kids values during infancy. During those formative times, there would be constant feedback and interaction between parent and child. And then, after this period passes and we move on to education, during K-12, parents start limiting interference in children's decision making and start focusing on communication and exchange of ideas based on the values taught earlier. Parents would teach kids information and give them information about things that children should know, and then the child would make decisions from said information independently without any influence from the parent. And then, as the children grow, their parents would need to gradually discuss and involve themselves in decision making less by reducing discussion on things that the children already know, and even stop discussing about it altogether, relying on the children to make good decisions, and then focus more on discourse and exchange of opinions, for example, the opinions of what the parents believe, and then have the children make their own beliefs and argue for it, like two normal adults. And then, after that, we would like to discuss the background of why this decision is so urgent. So first, society is changing rapidly, and then the parents are obviously concerned of how children would develop in this new environment. And as middle class people, our interest is to prevent the shaking of status quo and to entrench opposition in the strata. Middle class parents are quite wealthy. Middle class parents are quite well off, and then they have room for mistakes in child rearing, which is why they would focus on the need for decisive and conscientious children to make decisions to entrench their position in this status quo. So our arguments here is that first, why free-range parenting is not bad, because we would still instill values and guide the children on how to do things, on why they do things. So there would still be a bit of influence and control from the parents here, which is why it won't lead to things like delinquency or criminal activity or bad influence like smoking, drugs, sex, and like. And then second, parents would still provide parental love interaction. So even though we would let children to do things by themselves, we would still have chat, discussions, and overall children and parent relationship would not be distant, which is why free range parenting is the better option here. And then second, And then second, we would like to talk about why free-range parenting is good, because it will teach kids how to be independent. As we let them make their own decisions and teach them hows and whys, the children will be able to make their own decisions, which is good for their future, as every person in the end, in their adulthood, would need to lead and make their own decisions. And then second, it would improve the children's confidence and self-esteem, as they know what they are doing, they could make bold decisions, take the initiative, and that would be an advantageous trait for children to navigate life. And then third, it would allow children to decide their own fate, as they know what they're doing, they are conscientious enough to make their own decision, they would be capable of deep reflection, and therefore that would lead to them making realistic plans on how their life would go, and they could follow the passion this way. My last argument is why on helicopter parenting is bad. 3 things to say. First, that it sours parent-child relationships, as children will be controlled by the parents, unable to make their own decisions, and that will lead to resentment and is detrimental to the whole process of education. And then second, it would make children unprepared for a hostile world away from parents, as they would live. At one day they would move out, they would live alone, maybe get a girlfriend, something. That would require an adult mindset, that would require skills that they would not have from helicopter parenting, since parents would make their own decisions and they would only follow orders. They would become obedient and unable to stand up for themselves, and that would be detrimental to the well-being of the child. And then third, with this whole parents controlling children shtick, children will be easily influenced by people when there's no parents, because first, children would develop a complex for authority figures. They would admire them and follow their every order blindly, and as their parents gone, they find new people, and that people finds a weakness within the child. They could act as an authority figure and lead the children to places we don't want them to go. For example, they could be raised by terrorists or raised by radicals, criminals, we don't know. And that would be utterly detrimental, not to the child alone, but to society as a whole. And then the trade-off of this parenting method is that first we will need to take more risk, and that's okay because they already know how to make risks. And second, chances of less optimal decisions taken, and that is okay. This is even better because it's better to make bad decisions than being not able to make any. This is the extent of. This is all I have to propose. Thank you very much.